Birnbaum.
Here.
Legislator Laura Curran.
Here.
Ranking Member Sheila Bino.
Here.
Legislator Donald McKenzie.
Here.
Legislator Rosemarie Walker.
Here.
Substituting for Vice Chairman Vincent Muscarella is Legislator Dennis Dunn. Chairman Richard Nicolello. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mike. Item 584, 2016 is a resolution to increase the petty cash fund of the Office of the District Attorney pursuant to the Nassau County Administrative Code. Moved by Legislator Dunn, seconded by Legislator Walker. Mr. McManus?
Yes, Bob McManus, District Attorney's Office. We use our petty cash fund quite a bit. We use it to reimburse witnesses for meals, to make emergency purchases of computer parts and supplies, subscriptions, ancillary expenses for process servers, and other items needed on short notice that cost less than $500. We have two main locations, one in Hempstead and one in Mineola, and there are times when we are waiting for claims to be processed that we sometimes get close to running short. Your approval of this increase will ensure that we always have petty cash on hand when it is necessary.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 602 is a resolution declaring a capital budget emergency pursuant to Section 310D of the County Government Law of Nassau County.
So moved.
Moved by Legislator Walker, seconded by Legislator McKenzie. That item is before the committee. Terry, do we have anyone to speak on this?
Good afternoon, Ken Arnold. Good afternoon, Ken Arnold. Item 602 is a capital budget amendment.
601.
601 is the capital budget emergency.
Should I call them both together, or does it matter?
You go call both together.
Okay. Let's call 602 2016 an ordinance to amend ordinance number 13 of 2016, adopting the capital budget for the year 2016 for the County of Nassau, corresponding to the first year of the four-year capital plan. Moved by Legislator McKenzie, seconded by Legislator Walker. Okay, that's before us. Now, go ahead, Ken.
So 602 is a capital budget amendment. It is to put outside funding into 5 capital projects in the current approved budget and plan. They include funding received through the Charles Lindbergh lease, which is the 90400 capital project. The police have indicated that they received a grant for their IT department. In addition, for Silver Lake, we received a New York State a grant through the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery. Chris Moley Park, this is funding that was received for the use of the property for the water district. And finally, the county received funding for the parking garages through a Governor's Office initiative for Mitchell Field Hub.
With respect to the Charles Lindbergh Boulevard, the lease there, the money is being put back into the leasehold property, or not?
Yes, that is for work that will be done at 60 Charles Lindbergh.
Okay.
That's part of the lease.
Christopher Moley Park improvements. Do we know what improvements we're going to make? I realize the money is coming from our agreement to allow the airstrip in the park.
I believe there's some minor work that we have ongoing that we're going to utilize the money for, but a great part of it we have not decided what to do yet.
And then the Nassau Hub parking lot improvements. That's the state grant for the
Yes.
policy of property.
Yes, and the department currently has put out an RFP to start look at the planning part of that project.
Now, would that cover the entire project in terms of the tiered parking or not?
Yes, that is our goal, is that 85 million will cover what we will build. That's part of the planning part, is to find out how many spaces actually that will cover, the size of the unit, location of the unit, working with the various stakeholders in the hub area.
Anyone have any other questions on these items? Legislator Curran.
For the Charles Lindbergh building, what are the improvements?
I'd have to go back and speak with my facilities people, but there's a long list of things that building needs to have addressed. That would be done, the occupants would be directing us what they need to have achieved at that building.
Okay, so it's a lot of, you don't have it in front of you, but it's a lot of basic fixes that need to
I
happen?
believe, yeah, I believe there's flooring issues, all kinds of different issues that need to be addressed in that facility.
Okay. And for the police department IT infrastructure, do you know what this refers to exactly?
Not 100% sure what the grant was for. I believe it had to do with their cyber protection, but don't quote me on that. I would rather ask them exactly where they got that.
Okay, and so we could ask them at the Bull Edge?
Yeah, I'll get that.
Okay. And you might have covered this already, but the $500,000 for Christopher Morley Park comes from where?
That was part of the agreement with the water district to put the airstrip tower on the property.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on these items? Thank you, Mr. Arnold. Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Those items carried unanimously. Item 607 of 2016 is a resolution to amend Resolution 397 of 2008 as last amended by Resolution number 244 of 2015 to designate newspapers to publish and identify the real property listed by school district number located wholly or partly in the town of Hempstead, North Hempstead, Oyster Bay, City of Glen Cove, and City of Long Beach, on which real estate tax liens are subject to sale by the county treasurer. Moved by legislator Dunn, seconded by legislator Walker. I think we've looked at this, and it looks like this is a pared down list of some of the newspapers, so there may be an amendment coming in the next couple of weeks to add some of our local newspapers onto this list. Any discussion? Legislator Curran?
I don't know if there's someone here to speak on this, but how are the local papers selected? We do it. The legislature does it.
Yeah, I think we picked the papers.
They do the original and it comes to us.
Okay. And so the property owners, are they also contacted by mail? Or is it just through the papers?
Yes.
Yes.
The answer to that question is yes.
Also individually by mail? Okay.
Yes.
And how much does this cost to advertise in all these newspapers?
We really don't have any idea. It depends, of course, from year to year how much.
I guess it depends on how many ads have to be put
Exactly.
in, and that would vary. Is there like a, a range?
I think what council tells me it's in the range of 300,000 a year.
300,000 a year,
The
okay.
advertisements, yeah.
And the reason I ask this is, does it make sense to advertise in these papers?
It's required by law.
It is?
Yes. It's required by law.
But there's a I think right, but I mean, we're going to be taking a look at this in the next couple of weeks. One of the things we're going to look at is to the extent we have to advertise, what that advertising consists of. Can it be does it have to be the full statement, which is what generates all that money, or can it be an abbreviated statement of directing interested parties to the county's website, which may be able to.
Right, because I'm thinking with technology, perhaps we could save some money.
Yeah.
Fewer people are reading newspapers than they ever were.
Very true. And any other questions on this item? Let's set it by now.
I hope we would, this is to the benefit of community, so I would hope that we would take into consideration that certain communities may not always have access to computers. So while we look to pare down or save money, that it might be to the detriment of some communities that are underserved.
Well, I think that's something we'll have to definitely take a look at as far as looking at this. Any other questions? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That item carries unanimously. We call several items together. 608, 609, 610, they are ordinances supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the Office of Management and Budget, Emergency Management, Public Works, Health, and the Medical Examiner. So moved by legislator Dunn, seconded by legislator Walker. These items just went through the Public Safety Committee. I asked that all committees be incorporated by reference. Any questions on these 3 items? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, that item carries unanimously. Item 612 is a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute a grant agreement between the County of Nassau, acting on behalf of the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Museums, and the Seacliff Chamber of Players, Inc. Moved by Legislator McKenzie, seconded by Legislator Dunn. And items before the committee, I see Eileen Krieg approaching.
Mr. Chairman, I would just point out that there's a second item, 1 of 17, that's similar. You might want to hear both of them together.
Okay, it's fine. Item 1 of 17 is a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute a grant agreement between the County of Nassau, acting on behalf of Department of Parks, and Artists in Partnership, Inc. Moved by Legislator Dunn, seconded by Legislator Wall.
Item 61216 is a contract with Seacliff Chambers for entertainment provided through the Parks Department during the holiday season for $10,000, funded through hotel motel funding. And the second 1-17 is a $5,000 grant to Artists in Partnership for their cultural advancement in their local area.
So I have a question about 612 of 16. It looks like the services that be provided have already been provided.
Yeah, the contract was filed in 16, but not calendared until now. So it was delayed because of all the paper disclosure forms that were needed, and it was filed, and yes, the services have been performed during the holiday season.
So the delay was occasioned by the gathering of the
Disclosure in the principal forms and things, yeah. I'm very confused.
Now the processing of these grants are done by the Parks Department, correct?
Yes.
And it just seems like they're coming to us on a regular basis after the fact. What can we do to make sure that these come before us before they actually perform the services?
But our procedure now is that we obtain the request for the grant, we then process to get approval, and then we make sure that they've satisfied the previous grant so that when it gets to the controller's office, it's not rejected. So sometimes it's the backup process, it's taken longer to get from these smaller historic or not-for-profit groups.
But I think
So we're trying our best to proceed so that as soon as we give them the grant, that they realize now they have to provide the paperwork back up to reconcile last year's before they can start this year's.
What we're looking for going forward, however, is that these come to us before the services are provided. So I don't know if it requires you to start planning earlier with respect to this, or develop a different process to keep track of the paperwork that's coming in, but especially with respect to these grants, it seems like on a regular basis.
Yes.
You know, it's a month, 2 months after they're being processed, so, you know, it's a new year, so I don't know what has to be done in the department, but whatever has to be done to make these grants come to us in a timely fashion.
Mr. Chairman, is running in the Office of Legislative Affairs, the new disclosure forms have created some confusion, especially for the smaller groups. There used to be a pretty simple process, but now there's, you know, the lobbying form, there's a whole bunch of other forms, and what sometimes they, you know, for example, they put on, say, a lobbying form not applicable, and we don't accept that. According to the county attorneys, it has to say none. And there's just been a bit of back and forth and confusion, and you've seen this happen a few times. But as these groups are becoming more familiar with the process, we're not going to run into this situation much more. Plus, we're on the verge of showing the legislature the contract routing system, the electronic contract routing system that's been developed over the last 3 or 4 years, and we hope to demonstrate it for the legislature in the coming weeks. And that is going to definitely help the process, because there'll be the paperwork going back and forth will not occur anymore. It'll all be done electronically, and we're excited about showing you this. This was happening even when I was a legislator. I know it was in the process. So I think you're going to find moving forward, you're not going to see this happening that often, if at all.
Actually, we had a preview of that over the summer, the system that's coming, and I think that'll be a tremendous benefit once it's put in place, because for our purposes, we'll be able to track, you know, how it went through the process. So if there is a delay in a particular department, I think we'll be able to see it. So the sooner we can do that, the better. Any other questions? Any public comment? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you, Andy. Items 618, 621, 624, 2016 are all resolutions to authorize the transfer of appropriations heretofore made within the budget for the year 2016. Moved by Legislator Dunn, seconded by Legislator Walker. Do we have anyone to speak about these transfers?
Andy Perzik, Management Budget. I'll start with 618. This is a board transfer to cover salaries between the police department and the sewer district and the Board of Elections. In the police department, we would hope to achieve some attrition savings that didn't materialize, and we offset it with some savings that we had in other funding sources. The sewer district, because of the capital back charges that we charge certain personnel costs to, it didn't happen, so we had a shortfall in salaries there. And then in Board of Elections, we had to amend the original resolution that we did for the inspectors because we ran short a little bit in the funding source in the EL 10 line, for lack of a better thing, and that's what 618 is talking about. So, and then 624, which is the other board transfer for the police department, it's the same reason. We didn't achieve the attrition savings. There was some overtime costs, as I'll let Lieutenant Stepanov jump in at any time, but there was some extraordinary items that were not budgeted, like the presidential debate and some other Homeland Security items that created some overtime anomalies. So,
all right, are you able to speak to 621 also?
621 I can speak to too. I don't want to do those two first because those related to salaries. 621 is the balance of the bond premiums that we're moving over into the litigation fund. That's defined by the NIFR resolution that we have to do this way. This is the balance for the remainder of 2016.
Okay. All right, does anyone have any questions for Mr. Perzik? Legislator Birnbaum?
On this item 618, in order to transfer funds, you do need the approval of the legislature, but obviously it's already been done, correct?
Correct, and that's because these are to pay salaries and we do a polling for this reason, and that's what this item is about. But in order to move from point A to point B, whether it be $1 or a penny, we need the legislature approval between appropriations.
I mean, I don't remember getting polled. Who do you poll?
I don't know the protocol. All I know is that we go to the clerk it goes to the majority and minority finance people. I'm pretty sure it does. So
no, I definitely know. I never got polled.
I'm just telling you, but there is a process in place that it does go to both sides. So.
I don't think so.
So
I could be wrong, but it goes to the clerk's office. So.
Chairman,
Let's see if I know.
can someone from the clerk's office or from the majority give us an idea as to how this occurs and who's actually polled? Because I can speak for two of the finance committee members. We weren't polled.
Well, I don't know exactly what the administration does, but we do know that the majority does get polled on these items. So I think they're just making sure that they have the sufficient amount of votes.
Is somebody here from the county attorney's office that can come down and speak to us and advise us to the process and what I guess legal remedies?
Mr. Bino, the clerk's office is asked to do the polling.
Yeah, but I suspect that they're following something that
so
the county attorney's office put in place.
Query the clerk's office at some point, but there is a legal process to this.
Yeah, I want someone to explain it to us because this is already...
We don't know what that is. It's just the clerk's office. We're asked to have a polling done and the clerk's office does it.
Okay, so, but the point is that this item comes through Finance and Rules.
Right.
And if it's not the Finance and Rules Committee members that are polled, and it's only the majority, that I think, in all actuality, is circumventing the committee. And what is the purpose of having the committees then look at this item if it's already been polled and approved by the majority? This is supposed to come through the committees. And I can speak for the Finance Committee that we have not been polled.
What happens if we don't approve this budget transfer? What's
It's already done.
It's salary related. It's a common occurrence that this, towards the end of the year, because of the meetings and stuff like that, that there is a polling that needs to occur because people will not get paid.
I'm not actually disputing the fact that there's a polling, and I understand it's salaries, and I understand you have to pay them. I'm disputing who they may have polled.
Right, and let me just reiterate. We get notification that there is a shortfall, and then we have to react to it.
I understand. I
So,
totally
I mean, the
understand.
process, if you're asking me, I'm not sure. We
We're
do
just
go through
curious.
our legal process, our process of preparing the paperwork, because we have to identify how we're funding this stuff, you know what I mean, and that's what we do.
I totally understand, and so, for me to be perfectly clear, I'm not in any way, shape, or form not comfortable. I'm comfortable with the idea of polling based on the situation. I just want to have clarity and be sure that we're polling the correct members, because I feel as though with the Finance and Rules Committees that are part of the Democratic caucus were circumvented or we weren't included, and that it was only the majority. So I think that this is something that should be polled, because it sounds like the right process. I just think the methodology for picking the individuals who are polled, in my perspective, is false.
My understanding is that this is how the legislature has operated since the beginning, when we were in the majority and when we were in the minority. When we were in the minority, we did not get polled. They polled the majority simply because they wanted to make sure that there's enough votes for the item. So that's the procedure that's been followed for, I mean, it would be, I guess it would be, they could poll everybody if they wanted to, but as long as they have a majority, they're able to go ahead with what they need to do in terms of a budget transfer to make sure people get paid.
Chairman Nicolo, I wasn't here when you guys were in the minority, so I'll take your word for it that that may have occurred. But honestly speaking, I don't think that that would even be fair or would be right. I think that what's appropriate and right should be something that we should strive for as a body at this time, despite what may have been done in the past. So my point is, if this is something that comes through Finance and Rules, and those are the committees that these things come through, that these items come through, those are the bodies that should be polled. And then I don't think that we should then just poll one particular caucus. I honestly wouldn't be in favor of that if I was in the majority. I don't think that that is the proper way to do things. So I'm calling for the county attorney to, at some point, give us a legal opinion that that was even, a justified action. And because I actually take exception that it was done that way. So as far as I'm concerned, the items were already transferred. So us not voting on it today is fruitless. It doesn't yield anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Any public comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those carry unanimously or no?
Yes.
Okay. Items 2 and 4 of 2007, I'm going to hold those for later, those are executive session items. Item 5 of 2017 is an ordinance supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the Department of Public Works. Moved by legislator McKenzie, seconded by legislator Dunn. This item is before the committee, went through Public Works a few moments ago. Any questions on this item? Again, it's item 5 of 2017. Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, carries unanimously. Item 6 of 2017 is an ordinance to amend ordinance number 13 of 2016, adopting the capital budget for the year 2016 for the County of Nassau, corresponding to the first year four-year capital plan. Moved by legislator Walker, seconded by legislator Dunn. Mr. Arnold.
Ken Arnold, Public Works. Item 6 of 17 is a capital budget amendment to rename a capital project from land acquisitions to property acquisitions. That's project 9B480.
It's also increased from $0 to $1.
That is correct.
Okay. Do you know what the purpose of that is?
As far as the bidding on the OM building, it's to put a placeholder in the financial system.
Okay. All righty. Any questions about this item? Legislator Curran?
What is the purpose of this?
It was felt that land Land acquisitions may not be the appropriate name for the project if we would look to buy certain types of properties. We want to broaden the scope to include all properties, so we just look to change the definition of the project, property acquisitions.
Is there a particular project or purchase in mind for this?
In looking at, I believe, when they look at the OEM building, they felt this was something they should do for that project if the time comes to fund it.
So the OEM building, as I understand, was supposed to be done with asset forfeiture money.
There's also some county capital. My understanding is going to cover that also.
Okay. So why not leave this alone? Well, first, I guess my first question would be, is there a list of land that we were looking to acquire that now we may not be acquiring since we're going?
No, there's not.
There's not. Okay. So there's no list. This is just there was no intention
That is
to
correct.
buy land with, okay. So then why not keep this the way it is and open a new capital project so that the asset forfeiture money could go into that to do this transaction?
It's the counties would prefer to have capital projects that expand multiple sources. We box ourselves in quite a bit when we have specific capital projects, and then when we have excess funding or we don't require all the funding that was put in the project, those bond proceeds sit fallow, and then you guys all ask me questions about that. So we're looking to broaden our capital projects to encompass many things. So if the intent of the project does not go for one thing, it's capable of covering another shortfall someplace else.
So you're saying it wouldn't be by changing the category, it could be for the OEM building but and for other things as well?
Possibly, yes. We could find out later on that we box ourselves in for other types of issues.
Well, it concerns me because it seems to me that the intent of the original project in the capital plan was for land acquisition, so we're sort of commingling this money now to use it for something else.
I have no answer to that.
Okay. All right, there's a lot of unknowns for me on this one. Thank you. I don't have any more questions.
Any other questions? Do we have any public comment? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? So is it one?
One abstention. Let me talk, two
Okay,
abstentions.
so item passes 4 in the positive, 1 against, and 2 abstentions. So we have need a motion to suspend the rules to the addendum. Legislator McKenzie made a motion. Legislator Walker seconded it. All in favor of suspending the rules signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Rules are suspended. We're going to skip the first item, which is also executive session. Item 9 of 2017 is a ordinance supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the Department of Social Services. Moved by Legislator Walker, seconded by Legislator Dunn. Item went to the Health Committee a few moments ago. Any questions on this item? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. We have two items we're going to call together, items 10 and 11 of 2017. Resolutions authorizing the county executive to execute a grant agreement between the County of Nassau, acting on behalf of the Department of Parks, Recreation, Museums, and the Historical Society of America, as well as an agreement with respect to the Hood African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church. Moved by Legislator Dunn, seconded by Legislator McKenzie. These two items are before the committee. Ms. Grieve.
The Historical Society of the Merricks is a hotel motel grant in the amount of $10,000 for a restoration program they have and a traveling exhibit. And that is within the term expiring 12/31/17. And the second contract, 11-17, is with the Hood African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, and it's merely an amendment because they were not able to complete funding their project from last year in a timely manner, so we've extended it to June 30th, 2017.
Okay, any questions? Is there any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, those two items carry unanimously. Now we're going to go to the executive session items. They are items 2, 3, and 4 of 2017. 2 and 4 are resolutions authorizing the county attorney to compromise and settle the claims of plaintiff Simona Sumasar and Chiara McDonald, as set forth in the action entitled Saved by the Same Name versus Nassau County. And a resolution authorizing the county attorney to compromise and settle the claim of plaintiff Alicia Bludouris, as set forth in the claim of the action entitled Alicia Bludouris versus the County of Nassau. Item 3 is a resolution authorizing the county attorney to compromise and settle the claim of plaintiff's supervisor at the town of Hempstead versus the County of Nassau.
Before we go into executive session, can I ask a question?
Yeah, no, we just need a motion.
Oh, sorry.
Well, let's Walker, second by legislator Dunn. So before the committee, those items before the committee, and legislator Curran has a question.
So since the actual complaint and the orders issued by the court are public, can we discuss those in public?
Which complaint are we talking about?
I'm speaking about the one involving the corrections.
I mean, you could, yeah, can we go ahead and ask the question?
Okay.
There's an issue with it.
All right. So the question would be, has there been additional training for corrections officers in light of this?
I think that's a good question, but I don't know that we can have an answer that here. The case is still open.
Lisa Locardo from the County Attorney's Office. I think it would be better or more appropriate to discuss that in executive session. And after we discuss in executive session, whatever we can put on the record, we will. But I think that's a question better for executive session.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, do we have a motion to go into executive session? Legislator Dunn makes that motion. Legislator McKenzie seconds it. All in favor of executive session, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, we're in executive session, and all members of the Rules Committee are invited.